In the heart of the city of Clatter, everything was loud. Whistles shrieked, gears ground against iron, and the very air hummed with the frantic energy of 1,000 rushing feet. Milo lived in the middle of it all, his ears ringing with the constant roar of a world that never stopped to breathe. Milo often felt like a small bell being struck by a heavy hammer. He looked for a place where the air didn't shake, wandering past the factory smoke and the shouting markets. Finally, at the very edge of the city, he found an old stone wall covered in thick emerald ivy. Pushing the door open, Milo stepped through. The roar of the city vanished, replaced by a silence so heavy it felt like a warm blanket. He walked into a vast marshland where the sky was the color of a bruised plum and the water was as flat as a mirror. In the center of the reeds stood Silt, a heron as tall as Milo. Silt did not move. He did not blink. He stood on one slender leg, his beak pointed toward the water, looking like a statue carved from the mist itself. Milo watched him, afraid that even a breath would break the spell. Milo crept closer and sat on a mossy rock. "How do you stay so still?" he whispered. Silt didn't turn his head, but he let out a soft, low vibration from his throat. It wasn't a sound for the ears. It was a sound for the chest. Milo closed his eyes and tried to match the heron's stillness. At first, Milo's mind was still full of the city's clatter. But as he sat with Silt, the noise began to fade. In the deep quiet, he heard something he had never noticed before. It was a rhythmic thrum, steady and soft. Thump, 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 thump. It was the sound of his own heart, beating in time with the earth. Suddenly, Silt moved. It wasn't a frantic burst of energy like the city, but a slow, graceful unfolding. He spread his great wings, which looked like silk sails, and pushed off from the water. There was no splash, only a gentle ripple that moved outward in perfect circles. Milo watched Silt disappear into the mist. He realized that the quiet wasn't the absence of sound, but the presence of a different kind of rhythm. He stood up, feeling lighter, and walked back through the ivy-covered door. The gears were still turning, but they didn't seem so loud anymore. In the middle of the shouting square, Milo saw Lulu. She was small and trembling, her eyes wide with the same fear Milo had felt. She was spinning in circles, lost in the noise of the rushing crowds. Milo walked over and gently placed a hand on her shoulder. Milo led Lulu to a small wooden bench beneath a clock tower. He took her hand and placed it over her own heart. "Listen," he whispered. Together, they sat in the middle of the roar, finding the secret rhythm that the world could never drown out.